This week, OpenAI dropped something that could actually change how you run your business, plus a startup charging 50 grand for work that normally costs $500,000. And teachers in Northern Ireland getting 10 hours out of their week back. Let's break down what matters. Welcome to AI in Business. I'm James Anderson and this is your weekly AI News Roundup. Every week I condense the biggest AI stories into what actually matters for your business. No jargon, no hype, just what you need to know. Let's get into it. OpenAI just launched GPT 5.4 and this one is definitely worth paying attention to. It comes in two versions, Thinking and Pro. The big deal is the financial plugins that connect directly to Excel and Google Sheets. So you can basically have a conversation with your spreadsheets, ask questions about your numbers and build formulas just by talking. This is genuinely useful for a lot of businesses, but here's the thing, and this is where I think business owners need to think more carefully. I've been using ChatGPT 5.4 through the Codex interface for coding local tools for my business, and honestly, I find it excellent. Fast, efficient, cheap, gets the job done. But would I throw my company's financials, my trade secrets, my sensitive client data into it? Not on your Nelly. And I think that is the conversation we need to be having. The tool is brilliant for a lot of things, but whether you trust it with your most sensitive business information is a separate decision that each business owner needs to make based on their own risk profile. The next story is exactly the kind of AI application I love to see. A Y Combinator startup called Dilligence Squared is using AI voice agents to do something that has traditionally cost a fortune and taken months. They are rethinking the entire due diligence process for private equity deals. Think about how PE firms work. They want to buy a company, they need to understand the market, they need to talk to customers, they need deep commercial research, and normally that means hiring McKinsey, BCG or Bain. We're talking $500,000 to $1 million for a report, and that is per deal. This startup is doing something different. AI voice agents conducting customer interviews, pulling commercial insights, synthesizing market data, and they're delivering the whole thing for just 50 grand. That is 1/10 of the traditional cost. And here is the business angle. It's not just about saving money, it's about speed and willingness to engage. Because the price is so much lower, PE firms are now bringing this kind of research in much earlier in the process, before they even have high conviction in a deal. That changes how they evaluate opportunities. And look, if you are a buy and build group, or you run a business that does acquisitions regularly, you do not even need to hire a consultancy for this. You could actually engage a developer and build a bespoke tool that does exactly this. Pulling customer insights, synthesizing data, generating reports, reviewing P&Ls, cash flows. This is the real opportunity here. AI is not just about the big platforms. It's about taking these old, expensive, bureaucratic processes and rebuilding them from scratch. This is the disruption that actually matters for business. Next, we have a really practical example of AI in action. 6 months, 100 teachers in Northern Ireland, Gemini embedded in Google Workspace. The result, 10 hours saved per teacher every single week. They are using it for parent letters, lesson planning, Irish language resources, all those administrative tasks that eat into teaching time. And look, I'm not the biggest fan of Google Gemini, I'm not going to lie. I've used it and it's fine for general tasks, but here is the thing. It's cheap because basically Google owns the infrastructure, and in a use case like a school where data is sensitive, it seems like the right choice. You do not need the most powerful model out there for most tasks. You need something that works, something that is affordable and handles data responsibly. And that's why I'd normally recommend an alternative is basically running something offline, your own little server with your own local private LLM running. And this is what is great here. Practical use case, automation at its finest, AI being used effectively for repetitive administrative tasks that teachers should not be spending their time on anyway. 10 hours a week back to focus on actual teaching. That is the kind of AI implementation that makes sense. Next up, we have Zoom, and they've added some interesting features to their latest updates. I have to be honest with you about Zoom here. It's kind of a tool that is standardized for most people, but this latest release seems a little bit weird to me as a business owner. So they've announced that AI avatars can now actually represent you in meetings. These avatars mimic your appearance, expressions, lip and eye movements. I mean, it's impressive technology technically, but I have a fundamental issue with that approach. AI is being bolted onto an existing platform, and I get why Zoom is doing it. They are an incumbent trying to stay relevant, but we are moving into a disruptive era where companies do not have to rely on these big SaaS platforms to add AI features for them. For us, when we record videos, we use tools like Google Meet, and Google Meet comes free with our Google Workspace platform, so it's fine. But I know that large companies will pay extra for Zoom. And what we do is record all our meetings off Google Meet. We'll then run these through a local offline AI model that we use in one of our servers. We then extract all the information, transcribe it, feed it into our own note system and our dashboard and calendars for follow-ups. And we built our own workflow because we can. And first of all, it means it's a lot more secure. It means it's customized to our business and what we actually need. And third of all, it's basically completely free. Also, one of the advantages is we're not sitting around waiting for Microsoft, Google, or Zoom to add AI features in that we actually need. You can build your own tools now, or at least you can hire someone to build them for you. And that is basically what our AI audit is all about, understanding what is possible in your business. Also, just going back to the Zoom point, I'm not too sure that I'm super happy about my staff actually being represented by avatars on Zoom meetings. Would you honestly trust an AI avatar to represent you in your business meeting? Not for me. Okay, some quick hits now. Google has also now just rolled out Help Me Create across Docs, Sheets and Slides. It pulls from your Gmail account and your Google Drive to draft entire documents. The Wired review says that it's great at corporate speak, but a bit bland. And look, I have to be honest, despite Google basically owning the internet, their AI tools are honestly not the strongest in my view. There is some great tools, like I use Google Stitch, which is really good for sort of flashing up websites. But I do understand that if you're already paying for Google Suite, this is all essentially free to add on, and it's not a bad starter place if you want to dip your toes into AI assistance and just understand at a really basic level. But just remember, obviously with Google Suite and any of these workspaces, the prices do add up. And if you've got more staff, then it's more accounts and a bigger subscription. Now this one is worth paying attention to. NVIDIA, the graphics card company, is launching its own AI agent platform. So here is why this matters. NVIDIA is one of the biggest names in hardware. If you don't know, I'm going to be doing an upcoming video explaining all about NVIDIA, what they do. I've also got some stocks and shares with them, and it's done really, really well over the past 2 years because of the absolute explosion of the hardware that they're selling throughout the AI industry. Anyway, back to the article. So predominantly they focus on hardware. They also do some software solutions with their CUDA software and drivers for running their GPUs. But what makes this really interesting is they're building an AI agent platform, and they're going to be pitching it to enterprise companies like Salesforce, Cisco, and Adobe. The platform will be open source, which means anyone can use it. We like open source software because it gives us the chance to basically fork the code, have a play about with it, customize it and fit it for our business, which is great. That's what this channel is all about. But because it's open source, it means anyone can use it. And it's going to be designed for things like email triage, HR queries, and running autonomous helpers in the background. They're also building in security and privacy tools, which is important because AI agents running wild on your work computer is a real concern. And if you just check, I'm doing another article pretty soon talking about OpenClaw and some of the benefits and also security concerns that I have with that platform. But what I like about NVIDIA is obviously the security aspect. I mean, these guys are building some of the best hardware in the world. And I think because they're dipping their toe in the software, they need to make sure that it's super, super watertight, even as an open source model. So I'm really looking forward to trying that. An open source alternative to OpenAI's agent platform from a company with NVIDIA's resources hits the market. It could be a real big deal for businesses that want to deploy AI agents without relying on big tech platforms. And obviously what we try to do here on this channel is we actually trying not to use big tech platforms as much as possible. Actually, what we want to do is we want to focus on developing your own customer tools which fit and are bespoke to your business. Also, as mentioned, we do a range of different services to help with some of the clients that we work with. First of all, we can do AI audits for your business. That's basically where we walk through, we have an interview which takes like 60, 90 minutes, AI automation and integration report specific for your business, where we can talk about suggestions of how to implement, where we would look at what automation would be most effective, and then we can generate you a report, and then you can have a look at it and see, is it worth it, what the potential budget's going to be, how long it would take to integrate, and what sort of benefits and advantages you would get out of that. If you're interested, please click the link below to my website and you can book a 15-minute free introductory call where I'd be happy to have a bit of a chat about your business and see where we can potentially fit some AI in. In addition, we also work closely with development companies to actually develop the AI tools on the AI audits. So we kind of do a bit of a turnkey from basically concept all the way through to design and maintenance. So it's all under one roof. And obviously I understand as a business owner myself, and having wasted tens of thousands of dollars with software companies, having an end-to-end solution where basically someone's got the whole responsibility, I think is absolutely critical, especially in this space when the technology in the landscape is changing rapidly all the time. So click the link below, have a look at the website. I'm also introducing a private members club, which is going to be exclusive and quite limited, where you can access all of my private offline videos where I talk about all the tools I'm building. You can learn how to do it all yourself. So that's also coming shortly, but please click the link below and have a look. Okay, so the distilled takeaway for this week: if you feel like there's a lot of AI options in the market already, buckle up because there are even more coming in. Nvidia now joining the scene, OpenAI buying OpenClaw, and then you've got Facebook, Meta, who's just bought Maltbot. So yeah, interesting name. This is really an up and coming space. I'm going to do a video on the next video about OpenClaw and just talk about cutting through all the hype and all basically the bullshit online and trying to give you some practical examples and some understanding of how potentially you can integrate it into your business. And although again, another week's passed by and AI still seems to be moving at a breakneck speed, but really the practical advice still remains the same. I would look at picking one repetitive task in your business, test a free AI tool on it, and then track if you can save some time. That is really the basic foundation of everything we're doing on this channel. So that's the end of this week's episode. I hope it's been useful. Please subscribe to the channel because I'm going to be doing this every week, and I'm going to be trying to break down the most relevant information that could be useful for your business. And a quick update on what's coming on. As I mentioned, next week's episode I'm going to be doing on OpenClaw. I'm also putting together a series of explainer videos which go deeper into some of the tools, trends, and industry lingo that you might hear, just to try and build up some literacy in this AI space, because there's a lot of buzzwords and there's a lot of stuff to cut through and to understand. And ultimately the whole point of this channel is to help you as business owners understand how you can leverage the advantage of AI into your business. No hype, no jargon, just what you need to know.